Well, Paul, we could start with John Cena's retirement match hype or the big show closing angle. We'll just do recency bias. Talk about the big show closing angle. Logan Paul and Bronson Reed beating up LA Knight, putting him on the roof of a white SUV and giving him a tsunami right after Braun Breaker said he's going to destroy CM Punk if it's the new Punk, and he'll still be Punk either way, but he wants the old Punk from 2011 and 12, the not the guy who he says takes photos with young wrestlers these days and puts them on social media so fans think he's a changed man. He said that took some digs at this. I thought his promo tonight was in some ways better, certainly smoother than last week. He said he's going to take his woman, he's going to take his wife, and that he, ironically, after not doing drugs or drinking his whole life, looks like was it a crackhead? A junkie? Yeah, something like that.
That's what he said, crackhead.
Yeah, crackhead. So, I mean, I thought the angle at the end of the show was a little weird. Like, I mean, it's fine, but it just felt like a lot to do to LA Knight. But it's fine. Yeah, I don't know. We can talk about it. But I thought Breaker's promo was probably the headline. Week 2 of him having a solo promo as Heyman stood behind him. I don't know if Breaker's going to win the title or not, but we got a few more weeks of this being big hype where the whole point of this, Paul, is frame Braun Breaker as a potential world champion. That is the next step in his progress as, someone who has been I don't want to say anointed or chosen because those kind of have baggage. Just evaluated behind the scenes as someone who they think can be a centerpiece top act. What do you think last week and this week of his promos?
Yeah, so I agree. This week was a little bit better. I thought he was doing fine last week until he somehow made the focus of his promo more about how well he was doing on promos, and as opposed to what he was going to do to CM Punk in the ring. And this week I thought he turned it up a little bit. I don't know if "I'm gonna Braun break you" is gonna catch on, but that was the first time I heard him say that one. But yeah, a couple nice lines in there helped out with the crackhead line, and "I'll take your wife too." So yeah, he looked good.
Yeah. So I guess my question is, what would Braun Breaker need to do? What does he need to do to impress you enough to seem like he is ready to be an actual centerpiece star, or do you think he's there? Is he being pushed too soon or over pushed, or is this probably the right time and it probably isn't gonna, he is what he's gonna be, and we just sort of accept that this is who he's gonna be? Like, kind of where are you on him?
Yeah, so I think they've had him, waiting in the wings for a long time now. He's been around on Raw. So I think that if they didn't pull the trigger now, it would really feel odd. So I think he's learned what he's going to learn. I think he is who he is. I'm not really sure he's going to be everything that they hope he's going to be. And of course, his big weakness is that delivery on the mic and the connecting with promos. Not that I need to hear him say it, but that is what's getting in the way of him really connecting with the audience. So, but I think it's time to give him a shot at the main event.
Yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued. I like the journey of seeing stars work their way up the card. And I'm not against him getting pushed. I'm not convinced he's going to be, a success at that level. I mean, but I'm not. I wouldn't call myself skeptical. It's just, that's a threshold where you kind of have to show it. I don't see a warning sign that says he can't. I mean, this is not a good podcast take. I'm not like, he's going to be it and you guys are crazy if you don't think so, and he's going to fail. I mean, but my take is I think he's got a chance, but I'm not convinced yet. I don't think he's a shoo-in, personality-wise, style, ring style-wise, look-wise. Everything is good. I mean, I kind of trust Paul Heyman to pick the right guys, I mean, I think Kurt Hennig's son, was, maybe out of, I mean, Paul knew Kurt back in the day, and it's, I can try to make this guy work. So it's not like he's batting 1,000, but Braun Breaker is no Curtis Axel. He's more than that, but I don't know that he's Brock Lesnar or CM Punk or Roman Reigns, but so, I mean, I say this a lot. My one of the things I like most about pro wrestling after all these decades watching as a fan and then as a journalist and podcaster is the journeys, just seeing, does someone catch on with a mainstream audience in a big way? What makes it click? What causes it to not click? and evaluating it week by week as it goes. We're running our shows from 5 years ago where Reigns was really taking off with Paul Heyman and the Bloodline, and it was like breakout weeks for Heyman and Reigns in our 5 years ago shows, and it's fun to listen back to those and like, whoa, what's going on here? This is next level. You go back 10 years and it's like, what was that awful thing with Sheamus and Reigns? And so sometimes it can be a bumpy road. I don't think Breakker. I think they've learned from that, and obviously Breakker is like a monster athlete, super fast, high impact. There's some aspects of Goldberg, which is is he someone who, and he's more than Goldberg in almost every way right now, other than Goldberg just had an it factor that I think is more than Braun shows in the first 10 seconds you see him. But after 10 seconds, Goldberg ran out of material. And it worked for a while, but, there was always an endpoint where it's like, well, he can't just squash everybody forever. At some point, he's got to just, merge into the speed of traffic and have 15, 20-minute matches, or at least 12-minute matches. And he did on occasion. And then on the microphone, he was pretty limited, and he wasn't a student at the game at a top-level guy. And I don't know. There are a lot of things working against him. Breakker's none of those. He grew up in the business. He is, Goldberg is an NFL-level athlete, and Breakker is a, collegiate football-level athlete. He is what he needs to be athletically, but you can be a great athlete and not tell great stories in the ring that pull fans in and take them on a journey where they're just hanging on your every move. But I'd say he checks most boxes better, other than the instant it factor that Goldberg had. And I'll take Braun over Goldberg if it's a 10-year, if it's a 10-year plan.
Wow, and that's an endorsement.
Yeah. But I wasn't the biggest fan of Goldberg beyond the winning streak. Sometimes I felt not on an island, but I felt like I got pushed back because I was like, are you guys not looking around the corner? Like, he can't keep not cutting promos and squashing people. There has to be a point where he can actually blend in. He can blend into the other top tier stars and work programs. And otherwise he's gonna burn hot and then crash. And that's kind of, what they kind of found out happened with him. So Breakker,
does Braun Breakker have that same limitation with his promo skills?
No, I think Braun checks every box better than Goldberg when it comes to I don't know that he'll peak, because I don't want to take away from Goldberg what he was. He was a once in a generation phenomenon, but it was unrealistic for people to just go, well, let's just keep doing what we're doing. That get boring, or going, well, he'll just convert to long matches and everything will be fine. And it wasn't. With Breakker, and I don't think the top comparison is Goldberg. I'm just using it as a comparison point. As where I would take, if I have to work with somebody for 10 years and I want them to be integrated into my storytelling as a wrestling promoter, I'll take Braun Breakker over Goldberg. If I want to try to pop business for a year and a half, I'll take Goldberg over Breakker. But that's not the business WWE's in. They're not going to hand over. They're not desperate like WCW was when they were in the downturn and they just went with Goldberg. So yeah, I think. Sean in the chat, he'll be joining us on a phone call soon. Says Braun kept the yelling to a minimum, and I like that. And that's one of the issues with Breakker is, does he, can he on promos not seem like he's what would be the phrase, like talking and yelling at an unsustainable pace where it just turns into kind of gibberish and he loses his way. And there was a little bit of that last week that he pulled back on and controlled. This week it was an improvement in that way. He needs a promo style that's sustainable and where he can string words together and sentences together where it plays into the idea, I'm not a dumb jock, I'm just super intense, but I'm a thinking man, super intense badass. And I thought, some of it worked. Yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't have reservations about him. I think he's on a good course, but I'm not convinced yet. That's all.
Yeah.
That
certainly wasn't your typical WWE go home promo. Yeah. That certainly wasn't your typical WWE go home promo, but was it his best? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Another line here. Darrell says the crackhead line came from Scott, and he is using a lot of Scott's promo style. Don't that Breakker spear line again, but he's showing he is very, very limited. So yeah, we'll see.
The crackhead line that came from Scott Steiner, you think he meant?
That's what he's saying. Yeah, Scott Steiner must use the crackhead line. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like he would have. It sounds like something
Sure.
Scott would say. Jack Reeve in the chat says, I tell people Brock Lesnar is the best all-around athlete I've ever seen. Not everyone can be that. I enjoy him and definitely see him as a star. He could be the opposite of Scott Steiner for me. Interesting. Another chat comment here. Paul, excuse me, Pun LV says, I just want to see the WWE Unreal Season 2 episode of Triple H telling Braun, we're strapping a rocket to your back. There we go. All right. Anyway, let's pause and just quickly introduce the show. Hopefully quickly, and then we got a super chat we'll get to, and we'll get to some callers, and we'll also get to conversation about the final Raw before John Cena's retirement, and also other intriguing happenings on the show. This is the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post Show for Monday, December 8th, 2025. I'm Wade Keller, host of the show, editor, publisher, and founder of the Pro Wrestling Torch weekly newsletter, and the website PWTorch.com, and the host of various podcasts, including the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post Shows, which run live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday nights after Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown. So join us on the YouTube side of things for the live stream. Otherwise, you can subscribe to the podcast. Search Wade Keller. You'll see the red logo pop up. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any Android or iOS app, or you can find links to stream the shows on our website, PWTorch.com. When you search Wade Keller, you'll see the blue logo show also pop up. That's our main podcast as opposed to our post shows. The podcasts are not streamed live. They're not available in any format on YouTube. They are our longest running free podcast, and it is including our flagship, which tomorrow will feature Jason Powell from ProWrestling.net as my co-host. Get your questions in if you want to be part of the show. If you want to suggest a topic or ask a question for tomorrow's flagship, send those questions in either Tuesday morning or early afternoon. Wade Keller Podcast at gmail.com. Wade Keller Podcast at gmail.com. Subscribe to that show. It is free to do so. You can also, by the way, subscribe with a VIP membership. And a VIP membership gets you a commercial-free version of our free shows. We are in our final days here of our November sale, hopefully, because it's already the second week of December. NOV 2025 is a coupon code. That coupon code expires any day now. So if you've been holding out and are interested or thinking about it or got delayed or distracted, you get $9 off a subscription with that code. Go to pwtorch.com/govip for full details, and then click on the sign up form link in the coupon code box, NOV as in November, NOV 2025. That takes $9 off a subscription. That brings a $12.99 monthly fee down to just $3.99. And by the way, that is a full VIP membership. So you unlock almost 4 decades of our back issues, hundreds of retro radio shows from the 90s, over 2 decades of podcasts, plus an ad-free version of our website with rabbit holes everywhere with really cool content, long-form interviews with some of Pro Wrestling's biggest names in audio and text, and new content on a daily basis that is VIP exclusive. I'll keep this plug shorter than usual. Just go there, and if you haven't yet, and we would welcome you as a VIP member. It's a way to support us, but you also get a lot in return. It's not just the tip jar. You're getting a bunch of VIP exclusive content with that membership, and we appreciate our VIP members very much, and we welcome those who are trying us for the first time because of this sale. Great to have you on board, and I'm sure you're enjoying the commercial-free version of the show, where every time we go to a commercial break on the free show, it just jumps right past them, and you just get a streamlined listening experience on not only the Wade Keller shows, but also the PW Torch Daily Cast. All right, my co-host here talking Raw is Paul Weigle. He is a PW Torch contributor, and it is great to have you with me, Paul. Thank you so much. Tell people about your contributions to the Torch and a little bit about your background as a fan.
Sure. Thanks, Wade. Pleasure to be here with the PW Torch. I've been a VIP for decades. I just love the content. Makes my commute go by quick, and get to share my love of professional wrestling with the community you've created. And I've been a fan since the '80s. Going back to WrestleMania 3, the Macho Man, Great Muta, and Bret Hart were always my favorites, and I still love watching a great wrestling match like we got a bit of tonight. So excited to talk with you here about that. And I should mention that I write the PWT, the WWE Rising Stars and Fading Stars column every week, and we sort of track who's putting out great performances and who's failing in the spotlight. So it's a lot of fun. So I hope you check it out.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. Good work on that column. We have a lot of talented writers doing a lot of great work. It's worth your time to check them out. PWTorch.com, or VIP members get the commercial or the ad-free version on our VIP website with all the same content plus additional VIP exclusive content that I write and other Torch staff members write. Right. Well, let's just dive into calls. We got a lot to talk about. We haven't talked about Cena. We haven't talked about a variety of other things that happened on today's show, but we'll go to Sean Plichta first, our regular, and then we've got Rude Dog on hold, another regular. If you want to be a caller on the show, the link to be a caller, like Sean, who you're looking at right now on the YouTube side of things, and you'll hear from on the podcast side in a moment, is the link to be a caller is in my TV report on Raw at PWTorch. So if you go to our website, just look for that link, and you can click on it, and we'll bring you onto the show to ask questions or converse with us. You can also email us, wadekellerpostshow@gmail.com, if you want to be part of the post show via email. Otherwise, of course, we got our chat going, and we'll continue to highlight comments from the chat, including our super chats. I said we had one to get to, and Sean, I took you before I got to it. I'm going to reward Nima Pazar 6053 quick here by saying by reading their text here, or their chat comment. I couldn't think of the word chat. Wade, the way you felt about Goldberg back then, do you feel the same way about Cargill? I think there's definite similarities. I mean, short answer is yes. She is, especially in AEW, the way that she was pushed there. I think she's coming along, but I think we're seeing some, and it was always a concern that there'd be some shortcomings with her in terms of looking the part and having that instant within 10 seconds, oh, that's a star. But then going, is she going to be able to carry long matches? Will she be able to carry big promos? I trust the current WWE environment more to cover for that and find a slot for her that integrates her more effectively over time than I trusted WCW to do it. A lot of that was just, and this is where I defend Goldberg. I mean, he was part of a cauldron of backstage politics. That it was his initiation into pro wrestling with a bunch of people who saw him as this big deal rising, and everyone wanted to befriend him and steer him. And it was a time when people who had I don't want to overstate things, but a stub toe, they would take time off and get their guaranteed money. Top stars were taking pride in milking the system because they just thought Time Warner had bottomless pockets. They didn't respect WCW leadership the way that some ex-WWE people respected Vince McMahon at that time. So it was a different environment for Goldberg. And I mean, his education in the business in real time was a political cauldron of bad advice and people who didn't necessarily have his best interests in mind. Jade Cargill just doesn't have that. In AEW, it was a positive environment, minus one or two people I won't name because I don't want to stir trouble right now. And in WWE, I mean, it's not perfect, but John Cena says it's a different place. Last week he said it's a different place now than it used to be. So anyway, if you have follow-up, Nima, please feel welcome to chime in. I appreciate the super chat. It is nice gesture, and we'll prioritize your questions when you do that. All right, so let's bring Paul Coast back onto the stage, and then Sean also. All right, Sean, what's on your mind?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to go to kind of what I said in the chat as far as I do think Braun has come along really well. I just think as a character, I think he's come along really well. I think they've shown, this is kind of that badass persona, but they've dug into, who he is and what he's wanting to do, where he's going, like what he wants to accomplish. And like he said, I love that he said, I don't want the lovable, love everybody punk, even though he doesn't love everybody, because we know he doesn't really love everybody. But, as far as the slap hands with the fans and do all that, I want the real punk that was there 14 years ago that dominated the wrestling industry like he was at the time. And so I really like that. I like the word he's been going with his promos lately, and I think he's on the right track. Yeah, he's not there yet, but I think he's going to be a star in due time. It's just when he's ready, it's going to happen. He already kind of is, but I think he's on a good track. So I just want to throw that out there.
Yep. Good to get your opinion.
I think I wanted to go first. I wanted to go to the Jimmy when AJ and Dragon defended the titles in fun match. I think they've had really fun matches. Obviously they were going to win, and made sense for them to win.
I thought the War Raiders were going to win because they didn't get a ring entrance, and that's the key to somebody winning a match.
That's true. It's been weird. They've just been doing that so randomly lately. It's like, okay, this person randomly doesn't, or this tag team doesn't get an entrance, and you're like, okay, that's kind of interesting. What are they doing here? But The match was fun. When Jay came out, I was really surprised. I was not expecting what happened to happen, and I liked it in the sense of, personally, if it was me, I would be happy if Jay and Jimmy stayed a tag team, because I think Jimmy and Jay work well together, and I just think they have such a good chemistry. Obviously, they're brothers, but they have such a good chemistry. The way they talk, the way they interact, the way you can build up them against, if you can build up the tag team division well and put some new, fresh tag teams in there against them, I think it would be a lot of fun. But in the back of my mind, I'm curious what you guys were thinking about this as it was happening. I would still love, and Nick Barbati, if you heard any of his shows, I've been on with him a few times. I said, we both agree we would love to see Jay turn heel. I would love to see Jay turn heel on Jimmy at some point, not right away. It doesn't have to happen immediately. It can build to it. But where are you guys thinking they're going with it? Do you think they're just going to do the tag team thing for a long time? Or do you think that this could happen, that Jay could get a refreshing of his character and build to this heel thing? Because I think it could work really well. I think the fans would want to boo him because of the way he would do it. I would love it.
I think Jay is going to turn on Jimmy, but that's not like, I don't say that with certitude, but I think in the end they wouldn't have done what they did with Jay last week, with him kind of having this meltdown and showing sort of mental instability, if they were just going to unite them and everything was going to be happy. And that, but I think they covered for themselves well, because Jimmy said after seeing Jay's meltdown last week, I went to his hotel, said, "What's up?
Yep.
Let's team up again, and let's just go after the tag titles again." So you had this sort of, not cover story, but a believable story in terms of the framing of Jay's meltdown. It was there to cause Jimmy to go, come on, we got to take a different path. We've been eating a lot of L's. He listed them, and maybe we can dominate the tag division again. But what's going to happen, I think, and Paul, feel free to disagree with me or add to it, is I think they'll have another L in the tag division, and it's going to frustrate Jay, and he's going to overreact, and that's going to lead to whatever happens between Jimmy and Jay. Not that we want to see Jimmy versus Jay, although maybe they want to right a wrong and try to improve upon the last one. Right. Real Legend in the chat says Jay is going to turn on Jimmy. Yeah, I mean, it seems like that's where they're going. And then Kavanti Small says the online fans got their wish. Jay's back in the mid-card tag team division. I don't rule out a change of plans either, Paul. Maybe they had big ideas in mind, and now they have a different thing in mind, and they are just going to have the Usos just be a upper mid-card tag team. Paul, your thoughts?
Yeah, agreed. This seemed like a false finish to me, right? They've been telling the story of all these fails, and they gave this, a reasonable out, that the whole point of this was to get him back into his head back into the tag team division. But I think the way they presented it did not seem like the climax of the story. So, like you said, Wade, unless this is a change of plans, I see Jay turning heel. I think the signs have been there for a while, and I'm kind of excited. I like heel Jay. I thought he was kind of a badass, and this face Jay, he's kind of a dork. And if I didn't have to see that long yeeting entrance again,
gosh.
I would be happy. Although I got to say, I'm glad I didn't fast forward it this time, because did you see the yeeting baby that he had in his hands?
That was cool.
Remarkable.
I couldn't pay attention to the toddler who is eating and having the time of his life, short life. So there are not a lot of highlights yet, but that was one. It seemed like one of them. But there was a security guy just standing behind him, totally stoic. Everyone in the back's going woo, going crazy. The security guy's just like, my job is to not. And he probably thought, this is a weird job I have around all these crazy people eating. But yeah, I was fascinated with the security guy, just not willing to even loosen up slightly in the moment. But I'm glad somebody was there to guard the toddler from Jimmy. Do you think Jay's going to run off with him? I don't know. Yeah, it was cute though. It was cute.
They say don't work with kids or animals, so that was pretty brave of him to pick up that toddler, but it worked.
Yeah. Yes. Adam Kidd in the chat says, do we really want another Jay versus Jimmy match? Jack Reeves says, if a turn will stop Jay dancing mid-match, it can't come a moment too soon.
Amen to
that. Is not, it is not for everyone. I get it. I mean, if you look at the crowd, I mean, the yeeting, they go to the wide shot. I mean, it works. It's not my favorite part of pro wrestling. I don't sit there every week and be like, oh, wow, I just want to stare at the fans. It's a communal. Going to a WWE show, and one of the reasons they can charge what they charge is it's a communal experience. It's not just about watching the matches. For better or for worse, it's a communal experience to take part in fan participation activities and chants. That is part of the WWE product right now. It might not be what you want. It might not be what you like. You might think in the long run it's bad. But it's clearly one of the reasons people pay the money to go, and they enjoy doing it. So if it's not for you, speak out. I'm not against you doing it. In fact, I might encourage you to do it. But also don't not take into consideration the fact that you are watching a crowd of 10,000 plus people, which is not a given in pro wrestling. I've been covering this long enough. It used to be big news when they could sell 10,000 tickets. Now it's seen like, oh, that's a decent crowd for WWE. To have that crowd reacting that way for a babyface in 2025, a babyface who's been around for decades and has been a mid-carder and lost a lot of match. I mean, come on, it's working. The key is know when, like if this is an old school reference, but like a top 40 rock station, like kind of know when someone doesn't want to hear that latest Phil Collins song again. They've, used to just dominate their airways every time Phil Collins came out with one. To be like every fifth song was his latest hit, Susu Sudi or whatever. It's like you want to have a sense of when people loved it and now they don't. So they're super into it. Now it's time to rotate something else in. And I think that's where we are with Jay. We're kind of in the top 40 station. It was a great hit. It was catchy. But we don't need to hear it anymore. You want to be ahead of that, not behind it. I think they're in that zone where it's about time to leave people wanting more. You've made the full run. And the fact that the crowd is into it, my final point on this, doesn't mean people at home still want to watch it. If you're in the building, it's more fun. You're there. That's why you like going on vacation more than watching other people's vacation videos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sean.
Yeah.
Oh, Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm struggling to think of another sort of phenomenon in wrestling that was such a hit with the live audience and such a drag to watch on TV.
Yeah. I think, and going with Jay if he turns heel, which I mean, again, I just think it would refresh him in such a big way. It could make him feel like a bigger star. And if you have a match with Jimmy, he could squash Jimmy, beat him in 2 minutes. And then you build to him if Roman comes back, and you build to that story with them again. You build to a match with him and Roman. It could be awesome. I mean, if Jay really fits into that character and they do the development of it and tell that story with him, I think Jay and Roman could be a big deal. I think it could be you can make it a big deal. It could work. I mean, so I'm excited to see where they go. I mean, if that's, I think that's, like you said, the trajectory they're on, and I'm in for it. I'm in for the ride. I'm in to see how they do this. I think it's going to be a great thing for them because I'm like you. It's been good for the fans to have it, but it's just so overdone now. It's just it's too much for me. I don't like it anymore. And I will say one thing, Testator. I'm still higher on him, but I'm getting weaker especially after Rey Mysterio gets hit with the brass knucks. And LA Knight's music hits, and he's like, "Oh, it's just in time." It's like, dude, he just got his jaw busted. Like, how is he just in time? He just got his jaw busted. Like, come on.
You heard Wade Barrett call him out on that?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
it was
Wade
great.
goes,
I
"What do you
loved
mean?
it.
What do you mean not a second too soon?" I would say it was a second too late, and that's what I was thinking too. And I hadn't heard Joe Tessitore yet. I don't want to frame it as being defensive. He defended himself. I don't think it succeeded, but he tried. He didn't just accept Barrett's criticism. He goes, well, what I mean is there could have been a lot more damage. Who knows what Logan Paul would have done next? And I get that. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal. Like Gabardo Bala says, Joe Tess has got to go. He can't carry a Raw like Michael Cole.
No, I think he can.
There's things I love about Joe Tessitore in his announcing, but there's a lot of things I dial down like 6-7%. Like I just think he just like it's a little. And when I say little, I mean it is just a little too much sometimes. He's like, I got chills for this tag team title match tonight. I'm geek for this. It's like, it's the War Raiders against AJ and Dragon Lee. Let's save that for, Braun Breaker and CM Punk. Like, I want him to show an instinct to know, when to hard sell a scheduled TV title match and when not to. But it's still way more good than bad. I would hire him in a second to run my wrestling company. I would produce him slightly differently. I'd have him dial it down a little bit. But I think he is the best new wrestling announcer to come around in a long time. I mean, I think he has an knack for it. I was not sure about him. It's sort of like Braun Breaker. I was not sure about him at the beginning. No, people in WWE didn't know if he would adapt. But I think there is more good than bad, and the bad is not awful. There's a lot of bad that's awful, but I think he seems. Does it seem like he might be saying it because he's paid to say it? Maybe, but there's also part of me that thinks he's kind of really enjoying this job. Like I don't think he's just showing up for a paycheck, and he knows the product pretty well. Every once in a while his instincts are wrong, or like I said, he just, it's like 6-7% too much a lot, and every once in a while 50% too much. But that's every fourth week, and I'll take it. I've heard so much worse. And he's good. I don't even that's a weak compliment. I've seen worse. He's in the top tier of wrestling announcers whose tone fits the product. He just is. He's a pro. He's good.
And it took Michael Cole a long time to get there as well. So hopefully Tess will improve with time.
Well, to be fair, they had Michael Cole do a lot of dumb character work too. Some of the stuff they had him do is just so flipping terrible. Like, good God, it was awful.
You didn't love the coal mine, Sean? What was the matter with the coal mine?
Well, oh gosh, don't even go there. One thing I will say too is I said it the last time I was on, and I'm going to keep re-urging it. I think if that's not even a word, but whatever, it's my word today.
I thought that I wasn't going to say anything though.
The Rhea with Io, again, I understand the friendship. It's just way overboard. Like, Rhea gotta get her edge back, man. Like, she's smiling way too much with Io. It's just over the top. WWE has a tendency to do that with people. They like each other. They're having a friendship. You can be friends with somebody without having to be so over the top, happy and go lucky. And Io is just, again, I love Io Sky as a wrestler in the ring. There is no doubt she is. You want to like her, but my goodness, even during the match, it was so over the top, and the showing to the crowd and getting the crowd involved, and it takes forever to go to a spot. I want to hear what you guys thought about that during the match. Did that bug you watching the match itself, or was it just me being critical?
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, so are they just friends? Are we meant to think that Rhea and Io are more than friends? Because Rhea can't seem to keep her hands off of her. I just, every time I see him, she's got her hands draped around her. I'd be surprised if that is not something they are consciously trying to project without ever commenting on it. Wade, any thought about that?
If nobody else had said, "Oh, they're hinting at a romantic aspect to this," I don't think I would have thought it or brought it up. No. But when people bring it up, I'm like, okay, I can't rule it out. Like, I take it as Io's acting is over the top and Rhea's acting is sort of matching the tone. And they're handsy, but they're not. I don't feel like they look into each other's eyes like they're, ready to make out. That they never kind of reach that stage with me. So is WWE trying to hint at it and to get some fans to think, oh, maybe, I guess, but we work real life into they people know about Rhea Ripley. I don't know. But I will say this. I do think Rhea is losing some of her edge with how just, sort of like I said, when CM Punk arrived in AEW, and I'm like, people don't want to see Happy Punk. People are happy for Punk, but they don't want to pay to see Happy Punk. They want to see, disgruntled Punk. That's the Punk with an edge, with a axe to grind, and just being irked and irritated to a degree. But AEW is the wrong place for it, because AEW is, in theory, everything he wanted pro wrestling to be. So he didn't have anything to gripe about. But well, then what good is Punk if he's just smiling and going, "Hey, I want to work with young guys"? And it's well, I don't think he would have been a big star if you just were some guy who said, "I want to work with young guys. We'd like you, but you wouldn't be the top tier star." Rhea is coming across to me, and I was thinking it tonight, as, why do they want WWE's women's division to be an ensemble? It seems like, are they not? Do they think Rhea's her time is limited, or there's an issue with her where they don't think that they can really invest in her, that she can't handle the pressure? I'm just wildly speculating. I want to ask now, it's crossed my mind, but they have Rhea Ripley, and it's just the Tiffany Stratton thing, and she's like, oh, the Vegas thing, and it's there's all these top stars, and you have Stephanie Vaquer listing all these top stars, and it's they're sort of, maybe it's intentional, so they don't have to pay $8 million to somebody to keep them in the women's division, but it does feel like it's ensemble, and they're trying to make everybody interchangeable. And so and I disagreed with that approach. I think this should have been the year that Rhea Ripley turned into a transformative WWE star, regardless of her gender. Kavanti Small says, yeah, Rhea stock definitely dropped in 2025. But I'm not ruling out that they just are taking their turns. They do think they have a lot of talent. Rhea's still going to be almost every year in one of the top 2 women's WrestleMania matches. And they think they're onto something with how good Rhea Ripley is, or I mean, how good Io Sky is. And they just think them enjoying each other's company in a over-the-top friendly way, because Io's acting is kind of over the top, but friendly, but it doesn't seem sexual. Like Nikki Bella, I mean, she can't walk to the ring without looking like, okay, how do I swivel my hips in order to titillate the guys in the crowd? Like, everything about her comes across like it's calculated to be sexual, or at least titillating. And Io just seems like somebody who's just like a little like happy, she's happy in a way that's going to brighten a lot of people's day and then annoy a certain segment of the population also, because she's just a little too bubbly. So I don't know. I mean, Paul, you want to follow up on anything I had to say or anything else?
Yeah, so I certainly agree that, we want badass Rhea Ripley,
Yeah.
I mean, it's great that she has some real chemistry, with Io. And I think they like that, and hopefully it's going to spin into something, something bigger, right? Like someone really takes out Io, and that really gets Rhea's gander up. But should we make anything of the fact that Rhea wasn't in the Vegas video? She was a notably absent.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, she
Yeah.
wasn't. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I think when Rhea cuts her promos, she tries to go back to that mode where she's trying to get an edge back, and I do like where she just doesn't get all happy-go-lucky crazy during a promo, but I just tone it down a little bit. That's all. You can be friends with someone and just not have to go so over the top with it. And again, Io has so much talent that she doesn't need to do all that stuff to get over. And going back real quick to Stephanie Vaquera, I did want to bring this up really quick. Even though, I was kind of with you, she didn't need to name all the women. I was like, I didn't need that either.
It was fine. I just thought it was interesting. It played into the idea of there's this whole ensemble. I didn't take issue with it, Sean. It was fine.
No, it was for me too. I mean, I loved her promo because, like, that's the thing about Stephanie Vaquera. You were talking about, with Nikki, with trying to like do all the stuff to make you like. Stephanie Vaquera just has a sex appeal without even her having to do all that. Like, she just seems hot when she comes out. Like, she didn't have to do all that stuff to make you, would make a guy, even think of those things, because she just has that appeal to her when she comes out. The way she walks, the way she acts, the way she has that badass appeal. And her promo came off like that tonight, and it was great. Like, I loved it. I'm loving what they've done with her so far, even though Nikki Bella is not the greatest opponent to work with, but it's something. And Raquel, I think, can bring something out of her too that can help her keep just having people to run over and beat, and I think she's on a good track too. But the one main topic before I want to get to Rude Dog and let him talk about what he wants to talk about, but with the whole NXT Saturday Night Main Event, having NXT against main roster people, I'm going to harp on it again. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it. I think if you're going to have these NXT people, bring them on the main roster when they're ready to be on the main roster and keep them there. Don't keep going back and forth with people. And you're in a dilemma right now, in a sense, with you have Oba and Cody. To me, if Oba is going to wrestle Cody, if they're going to have a stupid crap finish, that's going to piss me off. But if you're going to have Oba win, he better win. And I'm a Cody fan. I love Cody. Oba better beat Cody, because you got to build him up if you're going to have him in a match like that. It doesn't make sense to have Oba come in and lose to Cody. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. If you're going to build these guys up in NXT, don't have them lose on the main roster. They're in a bad dilemma. They're in a dilemma.
It's why I said last week I thought announcing that, Cody announcing that, was sort of a tell that Ricky Starks was going to retain the title, because I just didn't think it made sense to put Oba Femi against Cody without build-up for Oba. I won't fully judge until Saturday. Let's see. I mean, I'm not saying there's not a way to make it work, but if the way to make it work is advertising a match on, less than 1 week's notice, about 1 week's notice. I guess we knew Saturday it was going to happen, but talking about it on Raw tonight, it's not like they're asking for your money. It's not headlining a show. It's a supporting show with a theme of younger guys against established guys. Can they get away with not doing a clean finish? They kind of have to, but the problem is you can say they can get away with not doing a clean finish a lot in a vacuum, just individually. It's the totality of it. A ref bump is fine, but 4 out of 5 matches on a pay-per-view with a ref bump going down, it's not fine, or it's 5 out of 7. So it's just the quantity. It's just people lose faith that you're going to give them finishes anytime that they're in their meta mind, in the back of their mind. And a lot of fans have that sort of meta mind of, what are they likely to do? And will I enjoy what they're about to do? And, and that's our whole approach covering wrestling is understanding why things are done and then critiquing, does it help draw? And, is it good for the fans? And is it lazy? Is it hack? Is it innovative? Is it whatever? So we'll see. I mean, that is it. The reason I didn't think they were going to do it is because I don't, in my mind, have a perfect outcome that doesn't include Sean getting frustrated with the non-finish, Oba losing his first match that's high profile on a show that Cena's retiring on, or prematurely ending Cody's reign to somebody who fans aren't invested in and don't know anything about.
Yeah. The only way I see it working is Oba basically clobbering Cody and really laying him out. Cody is not able to respond, and then Cody rolls him up for a 3 count. It's not perfect, but they're not. I just don't see them sacrificing Cody. Even though I totally agree with you, Sean, that Oba deserves to have a well thought out introduction to the main roster.
Real quick, Sean, a chat here. Goodfella says, Oba chasing Cody is a story I'm okay with. Enter the Rumble. But Drew's going to interrupt. That's my guess. So he's guessing Drew will interrupt the match, and that's the non-finish. It makes storyline sense. So Drew's out to get Cody. And, I mean, yes, but it's again, it's not that you can't justify it individually. It's like you can justify, I'll come up with a food analogy. Having a soda now and then. You can justify having an ice cream sundae, but you shouldn't do it twice a day every day. There's certain things you shouldn't drink soda every day. You shouldn't have ice cream every day. You shouldn't have French fries every day. But every once in a while, I mean, it's fine. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect with all clean finishes, but just don't do it. Don't book yourself into a corner constantly where fans now they're not even thinking that hard about it. They just go, okay, this is the match we're not going to get a finish. You can just and then people get disinvested from it. Also, I just think there should be more of an established character with Oba. I agree with that. Durrell says, I totally disagree with Sean. Oba can lose. It's not like he's coming up that Monday, but you can use it as a way to tell a story when he does come up if you want to put him in a top story. I would say that about almost anybody on the NXT roster but Oba. I think Trick Williams could lose. I think Ricky Starks could lose. I was really looking forward to Ricky and Cody because they like each other. They're friends going back to AEW days. Yeah, I thought that'd have been really, really special and fun. So I'm kind of bummed out. Like, we're not getting that because I just think Cody been like, I can beat Ricky, but I'm going to make him look like $1 million. And it would have been a really cool moment for Ricky and the journey that he's been on. And instead we're getting kind of this, and to me, it's an easy finish. Cody beats Ricky. It's fine. But, or Ricky turns sharply heel on Cody and cheats and still comes up short, but it's like an angle. It's a program. Or they plant a seed for it. But with Oba, it just feels like you're giving something away that you should build up for a year and a half as a dream match the first time it ever happens. So anyway, yeah.
I'm just a stickler for, if you're gonna be in NXT, stay in NXT till you're ready to have a story on the main roster, and then you build to a match like that. You don't give it away, even in any kind of thing where it's even a thought that they're wrestling. I disagree with that. I mean, I love Darrell, but I disagree. Oba's gonna either lose or there's gonna be a crap finish, and I don't want the Drew Cody's gone on forever. I don't even need that anymore. It's played out. We've seen it for months. It's almost longer than Drew Punk, and that was forever. Like, come on. Like, to build that up the right way, and this is not the way to do it.
So what about Cody loses, but it's not a title switch? As Jack Reed says, yeah, it's a non-title, so have Oba beat him.
Yeah, it's not a title match. Yeah, it's not a title match.
It's champion versus champion. But I guess, and that's when I say I got to wait till Saturday. If the story they're telling is Drew creates a distraction and Oba beats Cody, but Oba looked like he might have beat him anyway, so we'll never know. Is that satisfying enough? But you're still giving people a finish. Does Drew cost Oba a chance to win because it causes a DQ, and then Oba gets mad, and then Oba feuds with Drew, and Oba gets called up, or Drew goes after Oba Femi in NXT? I mean, there might be something they do where in the end we go, hey, they had something in mind. I could go, I'm not sure about this or that, but it's something, and it's not just a novelty match with a cop-out finish. And I think that's the biggest fear is it's not a novelty match with a cop-out finish. It's just a premature match that they threw on because John Cena wanted a theme and they want to draw a big rating. So they kind of hot-shotted Oba in a way that is undercutting, building suspense for him. And I don't know. I mean, let's see. I mean, we'll talk Saturday night. We'll have a live post show on Saturday night on the YouTube channel after SNME. It's a big enough show. So we'll see his retirement. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, Sean, to your point though, when they bring up the talent and they just sort of maybe hotshot him is the right word, and you're used to seeing them lose, it does make it really hard to make them special when they make their real main roster debut. And we saw that with Gargano and Ciampa. They were just kind of brought up to fill some TV time, and then it was really a soft, main roster elevation that just never quite stuck. And we've seen that with a couple other NXT talent as well.
So I don't forget, 2 quick corrections. It's Ricky Saints, not Ricky Starks. I keep saying Ricky Starks. Feel free. Anybody, by the way, you can correct me live. You can interrupt me if I get something wrong. You don't have to wait. Like, don't worry. Not that that's a big deal, but like, just go, wait, it's Ricky Saints, and make yourself look good, and I'll be thankful. So I don't look stupid. I don't keep saying it for 10 minutes. Number 2, Rhea Ripley was in the WrestleMania video. She has been in them, so she wasn't featured tonight.
Okay,
but
good.
So she was in it. And I was kind of thinking about that when you said it. I didn't like, but I have it. I don't like those videos.
No, I don't either.
I feel they feel too. Let's have. Yeah, I've talked about this, but sometimes it just looks like it comes across too glossy and shiny and cinematic, and I want to believe that these women have better things to do than to cooperate with WWE management and go show up for a promotional video and act in a way that's unnatural to give a certain vibe of WrestleMania Vegas. It feels like something, and I'm not saying it's true, but it's even worse because it's probably not true. It feels like something the non-wrestling people in corporate came up with, not understanding the tone of how to present wrestlers. But I think it's actually people who are wrestling people who did this, who are losing sight of the importance of keeping that sense that wrestlers are outlaws. Like, they got better things to do than to participate in some overproduced glossy thing where they act. They're clearly acting. They're not being filmed in a natural way. So we want you to pretend to be hanging out in Vegas together in a situation that no fan believes would really organically happen, but it'll look cool, and that makes up for it. I'm just not a fan of the videos. I get why they do them. I don't think it's a worse thing, but I think it's symptomatic of a mindset that makes everything a little more difficult, and I don't think it's worth doing. So anyway.
It breaks the narrative if you think about it too hard.
Yeah. Yep. And I you know what? I agree with you, Paul, but I'll add to it. If you don't think about it too hard, it undercuts the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to feel like, we agree to not, like, when in an interview they go, oh, we've agreed to no physicality. It's like, I kind of like that they do that, because like, these people should be at each other's throats and going at each other. And if you sort of have a ladies agreement not to do that, you're at least acknowledging that's why these two people who want at each other aren't. There's certain feuds that shouldn't trust them to abide by that. But I don't know, having them all fly out to Vegas to do this lounge sketch, it doesn't. I don't know. Anyway, my point's made. People don't have to agree with me, but it's not my it's not my favorite thing for sure.
I do have to point out that Becky Lynch looking at her dry martini like it's something she scraped off the bottom of her shoe and then taking it anyway was a little bit of a guilty pleasure for me.
What does Bailey drink, by the way? Speaking of, she gave Lyra the coffee drink, and Lyra's like, ugh, and then Bailey's like, oh, that must be mine. What's Bailey drink? Is what's the implication that Bailey? I don't know. Maybe Lyra. Maybe Lyra doesn't
like 10 sugars. Yeah,
exactly. That's what I say. Yeah, it doesn't like it as sweet, or there's a certain flavor. But yeah, it came across like, man, Bailey's got. Is it spiked, or is it some weird? Yeah. Anyway, Sean, what? Anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, for number one, I want Lyra and Roxanne to stop wrestling. They've wrestled like 8 times now. I don't need to see them wrestle for a little bit. Let's push that away for about a year and a half.
Although the crowd's finally chanting, let's go Lyra, so something's working.
There you go. That's true. And I'm excited to hear you and Jason tomorrow, of course. But I will say, as much as I love being a VIP member, everything about being a VIP member, I think still the best thing about it, even though Todd will get mad at me, and that's okay, the best thing about it is it is like you said about the commercials, like just being able to listen for 2 hours and just being able to listen to everything just straight on. It's just awesome. It's the best perk about being an actual member. Guys, if you're thinking about it, that's one of the main reasons to do it, other than obviously all the great content, is you can just listen to it. So I'll put it there. Rude Dog, bring it home. He's one of my favorites. I know he's gonna have some great stuff. Go VIP, guys. I appreciate it. Always being on with you guys. Always a blast.
Sean, you're more confident in Rude Dog than I am, but we'll see. Thanks.
See you guys.
Take care. All right, let's bring Rude Dog in. Rude Dog, welcome.
Thanks a lot, Wade. Gee. And nice to talk to you, Paul.
Likewise, Rude Dog.
So I was a little looking at the crowd today. It seemed a little lighter than usual, and they're starting to dim the upper decks again. I think I read on your report that WrestleTix had it around 5,600 people to a place that holds like 19,000. Like, are they starting to feel like, hey, people are losing interest here, do you think?
Yeah, tonight was not one of the 10,000 seat crowds or crowds for sure. Last week they were, and typically, they're getting in that range. This was smaller. Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I didn't get normally I get an email with what they drew last time in that city, and I didn't see that come through today. So I'm not sure. We've got a good correspondent, Alan, who sends in the context that helps me with that. So I'm not sure what to make of it. They did the wide shot where they showed the ring in the lower bowl crowd, and it looks good. But I was like, if they could have, they would have gone a little wider. If they could have flown a drone from the upper deck looking down, they would have. So it kind of struck me, yeah, this was not that. But attendance is still really good, even though tickets are still available for John Cena's retirement match. Tickets still available, but of course they're like $20,000 to sit fourth row and have someone's head in front of you. Someone holding up a sign saying, "If Cena wins, we riot," and you pay $4,500. Look at the back of the sign. It's not that bad, but I'm exaggerating, but the tickets are expensive. They were by design. They didn't want to sell out right away. That in their mind, that mean they underpriced them. So, but I think they hoped to sell out by now. A weekend. Okay, WrestleTix. They were at 5,400 earlier today or last night. The last update, the very latest update, which again I didn't get before publishing. Normally I do. They were set up for 7,900 and they had 7,600 in the building. So that's better. And yeah, I subscribed to WrestleTix, but I didn't see the latest update before going live with the show. So anyway, that's not as bad as 5,500, which is what it was in the last WrestleTix update that we went with.
Okay.
And speaking of the high prices, is that just a because I used to attend wrestling events regularly, and gee, the tickets are 2 or 3 times what they were just about 5 years ago. Wade, do you have a sense, does that reflect just the overall, this is how much concerts cost, or is WWE raking in more than they used to per ticket?
Oh, WWE's charging more and making more per ticket for sure. I mean, the ticket prices are way higher than they used to be, but that's the direction of entertainment right now. And we talked about it. Part of it is the reselling market. I've defended, and I know there's some caveats to this, but it's not as simple as I make it sound. But I think it's predominantly justified in the sense that if fans are willing to pay it, charge it, and when they're not willing to pay it, then charge less, so other people will go, or those people will go. And if WWE charges less, then that means a ticket broker, their resellers are going to make profit. That doesn't go to the wrestlers, doesn't go to the company. And TKO makes plenty of money, but ultimately, if someone's going to make money off of what fans are actually willing to pay for, row 6, section G, and if you charge $220 and someone resells it for $380, well, I think that extra $150 to whatever dollars should go to TKO instead of a ticket broker. I mean, if someone's going to make excessive money, it should go to the company that's actually putting on the show. So I think they're trying to close that gap.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean,
and do you think, is your sense that they've been successful at getting a higher percentage of the dollars that attendees are spending?
Yeah. I think ticket brokers are people who buy the tickets are not buying them to resell them at a profit at a higher rate. I mean, I've seen like more than anecdotal evidence of it, but not like a conclusive study. I don't know if WrestleTix or WrestleNomics has done a conclusive study on that. But I think the reselling average, the number of tickets and the price charged above and beyond the ticket price for reselling is down compared to what it was when they were charging less. But a lot of it is, I mean, it used to be a big deal to pay $100 to go to a concert. You know, I grew up in the 90s when I went to concerts all the time. I mean, $100, like, ooh, I'll pay 80, but I'm not going to pay 100, even if it's my favorite band. Well, maybe my favorite band, but a band I like that. And now that's just like, you can't get in for that unless you're going to like a club or something, a smaller venue. So I don't know. I mean, it's just it's a different world, you know, people. And part of it is I get, because artists aren't making money on CDs now. And the amount of money you save on not buying CDs, in theory, you can save up over the course of a year or two of your favorite artist and buy a ticket. So, you know, artists need the ticket money to make a really good living now if you're super successful in these arena shows. Where in the past it was arena shows, I wouldn't say they were loss leaders, but they were to help promote CD sales or record sales. And now, no, the be all end all, if you're a top level rock star, is the ticket revenue. So it's complicated. It is not my specialty, but it's something, you know, I've talked about and read a bit about.
Well, there are certain ways that certain musical acts make their tickets, like, basically just for fans, and they make it a way that scalpers are blocked out. So they could do that, but
and I didn't want to like go too far down the rabbit hole, Rudak, but I thought of that while I was talking, like the tech. So I'll just do it now since you bring it up, because it's true. The technology now is getting better. Where and I know it's because like the Minnesota Timberwolves, the owners are doing this thing where you're buying tickets through a very specific app that they own, and if you buy it, you have to go. Like that kind of thing. And if you don't, I mean, and there should be exceptions. I mean, if you get the flu and you can't go, I mean, you shouldn't be there. But if you're a season ticket holder and you just buy it and you're out of state, like they do the zip code thing and that kind of thing, there should be a way to reduce it. And the technology now is growing. You know, a lot of the agencies didn't have an incentive to do that. They just want to make their ticket fees. But of course, you know, there's like for NFL teams, they're like, we are not going to allow people to buy tickets if they're from a certain if their credit card zip code is 3 states away for the team that's the away team. We're not going to sell to them. So it's a work in progress, but the technology is going to get to the point where, yeah, if you buy the ticket, you it's non-transferable. But obviously that hasn't been the case for a while.
But you guys have a sharper eye than I do. I think WWE does a good job, you know, hiding the empty seats. So I didn't notice. It looked sold out to me.
Yeah. Well, they're good at that. Jack Reeves said, I can get to AEW's Wembley show, 2 tickets for about $350. We can no longer afford WWE shows. Goodfellas says, yeah, at the time I didn't want to pay $300 to see Elton John and Billy Joel. And now I look back on it, it was a bad call on my part. And Eric Moy says, yeah, how Lions fans infiltrate wherever the Vikings play. So anyway, yeah, Brewdog, go ahead. Good topic.
All right. I almost want to keep going down the rabbit hole, but I'll cut it off and try to.
What do you add something else? This is interesting enough. What do you want to add? You look like it's angst. It's making you anxious not being able to add a point.
Well, I mean, they just mentioned the Lions. I'm here in Michigan and am a Lions fan, and I'm totally priced out of the worst seat at Ford Field. So there's something to that too.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's all. So John Cena, they promoted an interview for him, who I believe is with Tom Rinaldi. But that's
like everybody knew when they first said that. Tom Rinaldi. Because in their world, he's famous, but it's, you know, assume no knowledge, as I say.
Right. But this one is a WWE like production on their YouTube page. But John Cena has been going through the promotion tour for his last match and going on multiple shows. I first saw him on the Bill Simmons show. Who I'm a fan of Bill Simmons, and he's a Boston guy, and they're broing it up about Boston. But John Cena just seemed totally casual, just like talking, was swearing, throwing out F-bombs here or there. And I was like, okay, well, this is a different version of Cena. So I know the Tom Rinaldi version ain't going to be like that. So I'm not going to watch that when he's in his jorts and his gear. But then I reluctantly watched him on the Joe Rogan show, which I haven't paid attention to him in a very long time for various reasons. And I was shocked. Like, John Cena seemed like, I mean, this is a data reference, but like Andrew Dice Clay, he was just throwing out F-bombs constantly. And I was like, whoa, like, where did this Cena come from? And like, it was totally not in character. I mean, he's still Cena, but not in character. I was just curious, have you seen any of these long videos? I mean, this one was 2 hours and 20 minutes. I can't believe I sat through it. But and if you did check any of it out, what do you think about that? And what do you think the WWE version is going to be?
No, I haven't listened to a lot of Cena. I mean, I've watched obviously the clips they've shown. Cena is, I mean, I've talked about this, Dog. I don't think Cena. I think everything that we see with John Cena, every example you gave, what's the word? Not assumption. My working conclusion is that there's not an authentic John Cena that we really ever see. I think John Cena is a chameleon to market John Cena. And what you described is he will play a certain role for a certain audience, and everything is calculated and strategic. And when he's in a different setting, he changes to something else. And I don't know. I mean, I've talked to enough people who've been around John Cena. In my mind, I have a kind of an idea of what Cena's like when he kind of lets loose, but I'm not enough where I want to be too psychoanalyze-y about, like, what I think this guy going on, what really makes him tick, and what is because I mean, I would be pushing beyond my knowledge to draw too broad a conclusion, other than I will stick to, I think every version of John Cena, and it comes across to me this way, and I've written about it and talked about it in audio shows. Everything just feels calculated. I think he's just constantly marketing. He is a, like, even when he gives advice, like the deep thoughts with John Cena, and it's like he talks like these things that, they're things you would say to a middle school gym class if you showed up in a middle school. Oh, John Cena's here. Give me life advice. I'm 13 and I'm this and that. But he says it like it's profound and like, oh, never give up. And when I would and he'll tell a story, and it's just like, it's so trite, and it's good advice, but he says it like it's like mind-blowingly profound. Like he's this sage, like guy who's getting, wisdom from above. That it's just like, so I don't know who the authentic John Cena is, but I know someone who talks about how authentic they are probably all the time. It probably isn't being authentic. I think you show your authenticity, but people who talk about how authentic they are probably manufacturing an image where authenticity is the end goal. And so, yeah, I'm skeptical of that. I think there's a real person. I mean, I enjoyed his reality show with Nikki, but I think we got a little bit more of a window into who he is. I think he's a little bit of a goof, but I don't know. I mean, so I think there's I don't think anything you see with Cena, this sounds contradictory. I don't think anything you see of Cena doing is inauthentic. I just don't think he is authentically a single thing. And that's where I say he's a chameleon, because I think he is a walking, manufactured, calculated public image product. And that's what Hulk Hogan was. I mean, Hulk basically told me that on record and off record when I talked to him. He's like, Wade, I know, in so many words, he said, I know you give me a hard time for lying to the media, but if they're not going to call me on it, I'm my own PR guy. When I do media, I just say what's going to get me headlines and make me seem like a big deal. Hulk's obligation wasn't to the truth; it was to promote the Hulk Hogan brand. So, I don't think Cena's like a bad dude, but I do think he's a calculated self-marketing machine, and whoever he is authentically is coincidentally related to what you see on Joe Rogan or Tom Rinaldi. It's just a coincidence because what he does is to market John Cena, and he's been in the public eye for so long. I don't know that he knows, except in just when his guard is completely down at hanging out at home or hanging out with friends. Like I don't think it even crosses his mind to be authentic because that doesn't help him. Like he's all about merch. It's like so I don't know. So I'm skeptical, but I'm not like I don't blame him for it. I'm just calling it as I think I see it, and I think we should just look at it that way. Like Gary Francis said, Wade's ruined me. I always hear what Wade's speaking about when Cena talks about anything. It's a shame. I like Cena, honestly. You can like Cena, but just understand anything he does with a camera on is a performance to market the John Cena brand, and it changes based on the context. And that's fine, but don't think he's authentic when he's with Rogan or he's authentic with Tom Rinaldi. He might be, he might not be, but he's doing what he thinks is good for his public image to market the John Cena brand. And he cares about merch numbers. He cares about, it's not, and everything he says is through the lens of how will I, and it doesn't mean he doesn't get something out of doing the charity work. I think he genuinely enjoys that moment, but I also think everything he does is to market John Cena. Derek Mitchell
and
goes,
so
I agree with Wade.
Is that a prerequisite? Oh, sorry.
I'll just read Mitchell. I agree with Wade. Cena's a master salesman with a chameleon personality. Will the real John Cena please stand up? Sailor Vision 3 says, Hogan is different because he felt fake in the way he was always in wrestling gimmick. Cena's completely different from his on-screen persona. He's very robotic in public. There's a difference there, but Cena's a more sophisticated, modern, I'm gonna be just a dude hanging out swearing, or I'm gonna be a deep thinker with Tom Rinaldi talking to adults like they're 8th graders. Or I'm going to be a heel making cartoon faces, but I don't want people outside of wrestling to think I'm serious. So I'm going to make sure I'm just doing a cartoon version of a heel. So all the Hollywood people don't think I'm really a bad dude. And I'm going to, I don't know. So I could go on, but yeah. Go
so
ahead,
is that characteristic, that, I don't know, fakeness for lack of a better word, is that a prerequisite to success in the business of professional wrestling?
No. But I mean, John, and this goes beyond my knowledge of Cena or ability to psychoanalyze with precision. I don't know why. I don't know why John is on the extreme end of. I mean, I've talked to people about this, and I get different answers, and that's why I don't really like. If I talk to a bunch of people whose opinions I trust, and they all kind of say the same thing, I'll be like, okay, I can kind of pass this along as my collected knowledge with Cena. I mean, different people have. I think they've seen different John Cenas. I mean, I'll use an on-record example. John Piermarini, XW writer back in around 2009, 2010, was on my show dozens of times, and he was around Cena, partying at the bar afterwards, and Cena, even when the camera is not on, there's people going, well, is this the real John Cena? Like, just hanging out with the guys, being one of the guys? Like, and I think that's closest to who he is, I mean, I think when he's just joshing around with other guys around a pool table at a bar, I think that's probably the closest to John Cena in terms of who he is. But I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to keep on with this. I mean, I'm fine. I'm fascinated. I mean, I think he's Paul Heyman to me is one of the most interesting people in the history of this wrestling industry. John Cena, I'm curious about, but I don't think there's as many layers or depth to him. I think he just is kind of a master marketer of the John Cena brand, and I think so it's a different kind of level of fascinating than, say, Paul Heyman with everything he's done and contributed and been through it. Like I said, I think Cena does enough things on air where for a top guy, he's on for a top guy, he's on the lower third of IQ in terms of there's things he does that put him in the bottom third of top guys compared to the Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan's, who really think and understand the business in a different way than Cena. But Cena's part of a different era too. Anyway. Goodfella says, I find Cena more authentic than Paul Heyman. I don't know. I mean, interesting. I mean, that could be. I didn't mean to draw a comparison as much as I think Paul Heyman is immensely smarter. I mean, I think Paul Heyman is like top level, scary smart. And I think John Cena is just like a above average guy, like making his way through life. I think Heyman is like, top half of 1%, just genius smart, but flawed. I mean, he'd admit that. It's been a journey for him. I haven't seen Cena grow. I think Heyman's growing. Like, Heyman is just, every chapter of his life is different. And I just think Cena's the same guy he was 20 years ago. He's just a little more refined at self-marketing in order to do that. So, yeah.
And of course, inauthenticity is Heyman's shtick. That's kind of his character.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. All right. We're Doug.
So, in one of the John Cena interviews, like, he did say that the only thing he suggested was he wanted young talent to be on it. And so I believe there's only 4 matches announced, and probably will only be 4 matches. And I mean, Gunther, I wouldn't exactly call young talent, but out of NXT and the one TNA wrestler, who do you think has the best chance of making an upset? I mean, I think Sol Ruka, because they don't mind letting anyone pin Bailey. So, but you think anyone else has a chance?
I mean, Drew McIntyre could cost Cody the match, and so Oba wins. But I don't think that puts Oba over. It's kind of like Ilya Dragunov. He's like, wait, I won, but it was tainted. I don't want that. Like, I mean, Oba shouldn't. It'll hurt Oba if he celebrates beating Cody because of Drew's win. You should care about winning the right way with some credibility. The way that they kind of moved on from, like, Javon Evans and Lance Slater getting the shot against AJ and Dragon Lee. I mean, it just feels like everything is still focused on AJ and Dragon Lee. They didn't really pay lip service to the notion that, well, maybe New Day will be fighting for a chance to face Javon and Leon. But I also wouldn't rule that out. I mean, the tag titles aren't that big of a deal. I mean, Cena going, I want Cena's main event to be about the young guys. I mean, that happened after John Cena was criticized for a lot of things about his retirement tour, which was, it was people he was comfortable with who were older. And then, the Dom thing sort of felt inevitable. And I, pitched it hard to be his final match because it just a feel good win for Cena and a big high profile for Dom. But I'm happy that Dom got a couple other matches that were high profile. And I'm totally comfortable with that. And then we'll see what they do with Gunther before I fully judge. But Cena going, I want other people, I want young people on a show that I'm on when I'm wrestling someone who's going on 40. But I want other people who are in their prime to be facing these young guys. Like, that's not giving back in the way that John Cena, I think, thinks it's giving back. Like, I mean, and I'm not even arguing Cena needs to needs to lose to young wrestlers. I've never advocated for that, but just not saying I'm the last real champion after Cody beats you and destroying going with the same line used as a heel to get heat. Like, that's when I say lower third IQ for a top guy, or a calculating, manipulative guy who underestimates the people's ability to see through his self-marketing, and then he plays dumb. Oh, I didn't mean it that way. That's the part that bothered me. So Cena, if he really, and again, I don't think there's a ton of people who stand out in 2025 that Cena should have wrestled and lost to. Like, I don't think there's like the glaring example. I think when you look at the roster and the timing of everything, there just weren't obvious people out there. So that softens my criticism of Cena a bit. But this idea that I'm going to wrestle a nearly 40-year-old guy, but all these other people who are in their prime, well, I don't know, AJ Styles, excuse me. We call it AJ Lee. They're AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. They're established guys who now John Cena is giving back by letting Leon Slater or by pushing for Leon Slater and Javon Evans to wrestle them. I mean, that's not Cena giving back. That's just Cena making a suggestion for something that doesn't involve him, that's on the same show as him. So I don't know. But yeah, but like I said, I don't think there was an obvious young guy he passed up based on, unfortunately, the lay of the land with Levesque and where things are with NXT call-ups and such.
Although Braun Breaker could be an exception, right? I mean, that could have really helped Breaker.
I think if Cena was on a retirement tour in 2026, then I think that should have happened in 2026. I think they just missed each other for that being the right thing to do. Yeah. I honestly, I don't think Breaker and Heyman wanted to face Cena in 2025. I think it just was too soon. I could be wrong. I mean, possible they pitched it hard and Cena's like, no way, I'm not getting in the ring with that guy. He'll kill me. or I don't like his dad. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, but Cena's not going to admit that he that he said no to something. I mean, I don't think that would, if it's a small circle, he wouldn't want to admit that.
Yeah, I certainly agree that is this last minute, it's all about the young kid stuff does seem pretty inauthentic given all of the choices he's made in the last year.
Yeah. We're talking. Anything else jump out about the Cena? Because you've listened to a lot more than I have of these, obviously. Anything else jump out besides the swearing and all that? Like, did you change your perception? And honestly, do you think? How does my analysis of him land, having listened to hours and hours of him this last month or two?
Yeah, you're about right. It makes sense that he like morphs to whatever situation he's in, like being an ultra bro guy, swearing with Joe Rogan, and just being kind of a cool sports guy with Bill Simmons. And so, yeah, I think you're pretty right on that. That didn't really cross my mind. I was like, because I just saw he's like, oh, he just doesn't give a crap about anything now. He's like, I'm done. I'll just say whatever I want. And I think that's what he was going for. But I'm definitely sure it was more calculated to make him look more like a cool dude or something. I don't know.
And I don't think like it was calculated on his way to the drive to the podcast studio or waiting for the call to come in on. Like, I just think that's who he is hardwired to be going back 20 years. I just think he was raised in he just was like, I want to be a top guy. I want to make money. Like, I mean, this notion of I like what, like the clip they showed there tonight, Tom Rinaldi going, what criticism did you take to heart? And it's like, well, when the fans chanted, you can't wrestle. And then they show the clip of from ECW. And it's like, that was an ECW crowd. And you were that was a hostile crowd for you. It was the wrong clip to show. And he's like, why? And I did like, he goes, well, I used the same 5 moves to win. And it was good. I love that he goes, hey, people were mad that I was using the same 5 moves, but I used them and I kept winning. So he was in storyline mode there, which I applaud that, by the way. I wish we saw that version of Cena a lot more. I only need 5 moves to win. Why would I do more? It's like, I mean, if you can knock out 3-point shots left and right and you're a specialist in whatever, then do that. You don't need to be great at dribbling or whatever. That's not true. You should be good at other things too. But the thing with Cena, when he said who he took advice from, he picked 3 people who he knows his target market for that statement. They're going to love, oh, now I like John Cena because he was humble enough to go to Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and AJ Styles, the mega stars of the indie scene, the non-WWE scene, during all of Cena's top run. Everybody loved KO, Sami, and AJ. So what does Cena do? He's like, he could have asked AI, like, which 3 wrestlers will get me the most over if I say I took advice from them when fans are saying you can't wrestle? And I would have spit out Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and AJ. And those are the answers he gave. And I'm not saying those things didn't really happen, but like, they may or may not have happened. It'd be weird to lie about that because maybe you get called out for it. But like, he picked the 3 guys that, if you're calculating how to get over with a slice of the audience watching Raw on Monday night, December 8th, 2025, and you want to seem humble and smart enough to go to the right people, that's exactly what you would say. And that's the part where I get skeptical of Cena. I'm not saying it's even that it didn't happen or it's wrong, but he knows who to say because everything he does, he puts through the filter of how will this help the John Cena brand. And that's where, and I think the totality of that is authentic. He's just not one thing, but he is a driven self-marketer. And he's great in Peacemaker. He's showing, I mean, he is mega talented, but I don't know. Yeah.
So speaking of his low wrestling IQ, the fact that he says that he learned these moves from his opponents, I think, was him stepping out of the narrative in a way that that I think kind of hurt the whole, again, breaks the whole illusion.
When he said what, and by the way, I know when I say Cena's kind of in the bottom third of top guys, he's in the top third of all guys. Like, I just want to be clear. I'm not saying he's not smart and that he's not savvy and he doesn't understand a lot about the business. So, but for top guys, that's just, that's a handful of people last 30 years. He's in the lower third, but he's smart. And I liked his phrasing here where he said, I went to them and asked them, what move do you think I would be good at that would help me win? Like, it was some phrase like that. And he didn't go, what move will make the fans stop chanting you can't wrestle, or what move can I do? He said, I asked him, what move do you think would be good for me to do that I can add? And so, yeah. And by the way, you can look at my history. I was never on the band. I was never saying John Cena didn't lose enough. I thought that was silly. He was being put like, I didn't think he should have been losing more than he did. And I also didn't have a big criticism of the 5 moves of doom. Like I felt that was overplayed also. I don't think the number of moves you do is a defining trait for how successful you are. I don't think Steve Austin had a huge moveset either. He could have done more, but his character didn't need it. So I didn't even think that was a big deal. But it's just, he knows which 3 wrestlers to say to come across that way. And I mean, it plays into my image of him. And again, I'm not bearing him. I'm just trying to evaluate what I think I see when I hear him. And I think he's calculated, he knows what he's doing. And that's why, depending on the setting, he seems like a different person.
All right. I didn't expect to talk about Cena this long, but you did ask me what else I heard, because I did listen to like over 4 hours of uncensored Cena interviews. I don't know why, but in his interview with Bill Simmons, Bill was like, because they're both from Boston area, like, why wasn't your last match in Boston? And then like he asked about because Bill Simmons actually knows about wrestling a little bit, and he asked him about his opponents too. And John Cena is like, that's all above my pay grade. I didn't pick any of my opponents, and I didn't pick where any of the places where my last dates were going to be. That was all up to, the powers that be above me. So I'm not sure how much I bought that. I mean, maybe I'd buy the not finishing in Boston stuff, but come on. He definitely had a say in who he's wrestling. That's some BS.
I mean, when you look at who he wrestled, it was pretty logical. It didn't feel super profound. I think Paul Levesque and whoever had a pretty good idea of, when you look at the lay of the land and you look back on it, it makes sense. I mean, if Cena really, really, really wanted to have like a 3-month program with Drew McIntyre, he could have had that, and he would have had that. I mean, people know who John Cena likes and wants to work with, who they trust. But some of it is just timing. It's like the Braun Breaker thing. I think John Cena 2026 retirement tour would have included Braun Breaker. I just don't think he was that would have felt rushing something that is a very meticulously calculated, timed out plan to build him into a top star. And Breakers, Cena had a heel run, and then what happened afterwards did not include. It didn't make sense with the Brock Lesnar story to also have Braun Breaker plow through Cena. I mean, it's just some things just don't fit into the number of dates he had and the time frame of everything. So, he did what he did with Brock, and you can't repeat it with Braun, but Braun should do the same thing or nothing. Otherwise, he's going to back and forth match and lose? I mean, it's not time for that. I don't know if there'd ever be time for that.
Well, I'm expecting at least one screwy finish on Saturday night's main event, maybe more than that. Hopefully it's not in Cena's last match. I can only expect the worst case scenario that came to me today was the masked man comes and interferes in John Cena's match, and then he pulls off the mask, and it's Austin Theory. Like, I don't know. That was just thinking my worst case scenario.
So Austin Theory is your worst case scenario, or that scenario is your worst case scenario? That
scenario.
Gotcha.
Like to end John Cena's career with a screwy finish with like a lackluster reveal.
I mean, spoiler alert, I think Gunther beats Cena and then Cena beats Miz. I mean, I don't think Miz would have been doing this much social media and ranting and raving backstage. I mean, I'm not certain, but I think Gunther's going to beat Cena, but then Cena's going to have a feel good moment when Miz walks out and goes, "It should have been me. It should have been me." And then whether it's a match or just an angle afterwards, and Cena's going to have a feel good moment that people can cheer, and That, because it doesn't make sense that Miz didn't get a chance against Cena in some context, some TV one-off. I mean, it's just with their history, it seems like it should have happened, and the reason it didn't is probably because they're saving it for this, and that would explain why Gunther's in there and not someone who Cena can just beat. Because I don't think Cena should beat Gunther. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. If they do it, show me how you make it work, and I'll be like, okay, that worked, or else I'll be like, that didn't work, that was dumb. But I standing here, I don't think it makes sense. I think Gunther should win. I think he's too important. Paul?
Although an interesting wrinkle tonight that Gunther vows that he's going to make Cena tap, and that's kind of hard to imagine as well. So I do wonder if one outcome is he can't make him tap, and he refuses to pin him, and so Cena rolls him up or something like that for a feel good win, even though he was clearly defeated.
Yeah. By the way, Rude Dog, Derek Mitchell goes, I watched some of Cena's interview on Bill Simmons, and Cena's so inauthentic, I had to turn it off and watch Simmons talking to Max Kellerman.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
He also is starting to look like Vince McMahon. He looked like he just walked out of the Republican National Party. Like, he looked ridiculous in a different way. Like, the exact opposite of like what he wears to the ring. And it was just like, whoa. It was like almost striking how much he starting to look like Vince McMahon, which is scary. But anyways.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, Rude Dog. Go ahead.
Just one more thing, because I've been going along and it's getting late, but I think LA Knight must have no friends. Like, he got beaten up by everyone in the ring and then got beaten up backstage. The only one that would come to save him is Adam Pearce and the Goons. So I felt a little bad for LA Knight that nobody would help him out at all.
Yeah, what you make, Paul, of what they're doing there? Is this LA Knight gets the holidays off and he's gonna come back at the Netflix special? Whatever. There's gonna be a moment in time, but because by the way, I advocated for years and decades for systematic rotation time off for wrestlers. That the grind was creating an environment where wrestlers were making unhealthy decisions on the road in order to make their dates and get better than their downsides. Time in the business is limited. Vince McMahon drove you hard. And you made so much money on house shows, not just pay-per-views. And then they were, doing what it took to get by. And especially when there's archives of this. So my argument was you can do injury angles to give people time off, that everybody should have, like they can choose, like you can even ask their preference. I mean, you have to abide by it, but like, would you rather have 3 weeks off 3 times a year or 9 weeks off once a year? We'll make it work, most of the time. And, or whatever. It doesn't be 9. It can be 4 weeks or 3 weeks. So maybe LA Knight, this is his month off. It's like, I feel bad for CM Punk and AJ Lee, and their dog was sick. And I don't know how Larry died, but if he was just on his last legs and they had to leave him alone and they didn't know if he'd be like, I felt bad that they had to be like on the road, even if just, for a night. So maybe LA Knight's just like, God, I really got to tend to something in my life. And they're like, okay, we'll put Bronson Reed over the tsunami, and we got an angle that'll make sense for you to come back. And you have been the workhorse this year. So if anyone's earned time off, it's you. Mm-hmm. And then they do this angle, and that would explain why they did it. And they'll have we'll have the solemn interviewers next week. Oh, we don't have updates on LA Knight, but it doesn't look good. And we don't know, he's rib injuries, internal injuries. We're still waiting to hear details. We don't know how long he'll be out. And then they don't talk about him for a few weeks so that when he comes back, it's like, whoa, I forgot about him. There he is again. That's what I assume is happening. The idea that he had no friends to help him is worth noting because a lot of times, but this wasn't a show where there were a ton of obvious people to help him out either. And it was late in the show, so you can kind of think maybe some people leave. Like Eddie Kingston said last week on Dynamite, I can't wait to get this promo done so I can go back to my hotel room. They don't make it seem like everyone in a mandatory way has to stick around. So I like the idea of having angles that explain why people are gone for weeks at a time when in reality they're shooting a movie or they're just getting some time to recharge and refresh. Everybody needs that.
Yeah, and if anyone needs a little time off, a little refreshing, it's LA Knight. I think he has overperformed in the last couple months, but he's been on a losing streak. I think he needs some sort of change, like Jey Uso, and some time away could do just that. The heel turn could do just that. But But I think that's why we saw the crucifixion of LA Knight tonight.
Now, another theory in the chat, and Gary Francis just posted it, is why did no one help LA Knight? That guy's turning heel. Goodfellas says LA Knight has to have an angle to come back to. Who are his friends, really? Playing the tweener, not many. So is this LA Knight going, I was getting beat up by all these people and nobody came to my aid? And, but again, he is a loner. That's his character. And, he doesn't want to be friends with the Usos, and they were in the building. So I don't know.
Although he was only there to help out poor Rey Mysterio. So certainly karma did not work in his favor tonight.
Yeah. So yeah, it could be an impetus for a heel turn. It could be he just comes back and goes after Logan Paul or whomever and feuds with him.
Right on. Yeah, I just figured they were writing him off for a while, but
yeah,
I just couldn't help but feel bad for him on it.
Yeah. Well, you can, as Sadler says, LA Knight comes off as a lone wolf kind of guy. And he does. But Sean thinks LA stays face for a while in my view, but who knows? So, yeah.
It's been a long time since we've seen someone suffer such an extended beatdown of that. It reminded me of what The Rock did to Cody Rhodes last winter.
What is the storyline reason, do you think, Paul, for what they put LA Knight through? Like,
yeah, I think it serves as a metaphor for what they're threatening to do to CM Punk, right? CM Punk is our hero. They're threatening to put him in the hospital and put him out, but they're not just saying it. They're showing us by doing it to another one of our heroes. So I think in that way, it serves a really good device to build up the tension for the CM Punk match, given that CM Punk couldn't actually be there.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, they want the Vision to feel like they are just, this killer faction and nobody is safe, and they want to get, Braun Breaker over. And obviously, they're doing a great job with Bronson Reed being giving him a push that matches the admiration that people behind the scenes had for him. They wanted him to get over, and I think they're putting him over as this kind of just killer heel because they do think he's a guy who people like and respect and think deserves a break because he's really good at what he does. And he's, again, it shouldn't be disregarded that management likes people who they think are going to be easy to work with and are not a head case and are going to show up and they're going to stay healthy and they're going to go along with what's asked and they're not going to ask a bunch of dumb questions but they're going to ask questions and go, from what I hear, he just checks a lot of those boxes as someone who management is going to go out of their way to try to get over. And obviously, Paul Heyman's not going to be part of a faction with a guy who he doesn't respect. I don't think even Logan Paul, although I would say even Logan Paul, Heyman must have respect for to work with. I think Heyman has enough pull to basically, I don't want to work with Logan. It's like Cena. Cena's got enough pull to go, I don't want to work with this guy, even though you pitched it. In the idea that Cena's like, well, I didn't come up with a list. It's not like, but people know. People know what Cena wants to work with, and it wouldn't shock me if Cena got asked, here's some things we want to do. How does this work? And if he had said no to it, he could have. But I think they, had a pretty good idea of what he wanted to do. But my question is, what do you make of the dynamic with Reed and Breaker and Logan? Because when Logan came in and Breaker and Reed are like, okay, like I got a little bit of a sense that they're not necessarily fully on board with this, Logan being in the group. And you could sort of imagine that he's not going to, that Braun Breaker especially, but maybe Bronson Reed are going to get a little sick of him kind of quickly. But I don't know where it's going. But I'm intrigued by it. Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, I think one of the most fun part about the factions is kind of getting a sense of how the characters play off each other. And I was trying to pick up what the relationship is. I don't think we have too much of information to go on yet. But it does seem like the Bronze are one faction, and here we have Logan on the side. So certainly him eventually annoying the Bronze. And that causing a problem that certainly would make sense, and it would seem true to life. But I don't have a lot of hints at this point.
Yeah.
Well, I got something. Uh, I thought of you, Wade, with this one because you always love these and not love these backstage moments that make no sense.
Yeah.
Like, so they had the whole. I guess they're still called the Vision with Logan Paul, Paul Heyman, Bronson Reed, and Braun Breaker all in the locker room, and they were talking, and then they're like, Paul and Logan Paul and Paul Heyman walked over to the side and talked in whispers with them sitting right there. Like they didn't leave Bronson and Braun. And it was like, what is going on? Like they can obviously hear you talk. Why are you moving 2 feet to the side and talking in whispers?
Yeah. It's definitely not my favorite thing when I mean, like I said last week, I think there should be a logic czar who works for WWE and just goes, okay, can we tweak this to have it make a little more sense? Sean goes, that was hilarious. Goodfella says, I love that segment. Standard Deviation said, I just didn't like Paul Heyman telling us what to think with his I like Logan Paul, I'm sorry, but I do brainwashing attempt. Same work strategy as last week with Braun. The way I get why you're saying that, Standard, and maybe that is what's happening. But I don't think Heyman wants us to like Logan Paul. I think Heyman wants Braun Breaker to be perceived as a guy doing top main event, top guy promos. I thought what Tom Martin said in the fix was like the thing about it the most, and I think this is the worst part about last week's Braun segment, is he said that he was talking about wanting to prove like CM Punk wrong about the fact that he couldn't cut a top guy promo, and it's like Braun Breaker should just be caring about breaking people in half and winning titles, not trying to prove that he can cut a promo. Like that just shouldn't be that's too meta for me. But I didn't see Paul doing that as meta. I think people think Logan's kind of a weird fit, and he's very different than Reed and Breaker. So what's going on here with you hanging out with Logan? And I think Paul's just acknowledging, some people might think it's a weird, an on-air character, it's a weird fit, but I like Logan Paul. I'm sorry, but I do. I think it was just sort of the idea playing into that Reed and Breaker showed maybe they don't love him, and Heyman's just going, I know they don't know why I like him, but I do. I'm sorry, I just do. So that's how I took that, and that'd be my response to that. And Goodfellas says, Heyman's facial expressions during Braun's promos have been great.
All right. I think that's all for me tonight.
Awesome.
So
thanks, Doug. Good talking.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yep, you too. Paul, we have not covered absolutely everything on this show. What else stands out to you worthy of making sure we get in comments on, since we went down a couple rabbit holes on different things not related directly to show content?
Yeah, I think another big story was potential dissension between Raquel and Liv, which we've never seen before. It seemed like Liv was gearing up to challenge Stephanie Vicaire, and Raquel maybe jumped the line and challenged her herself. And Liv
acted okay with it, but we know she's not.
Yeah, and response to that was to pivot and say, okay, I really wanted to go for the tag team titles with Roxanne anyway, which seemed very disingenuous. But certainly, it seems like there's some potential break brewing there.
Yeah. It was interesting. Nikki Bella was used as a transition to get to Raquel too. Like, I want a rematch and I'm going to come out, and then it's just like, nope, you're just there as a presupposition for Raquel. Although and if Raquel and Roxanne are going to go babyface, if Liv is that where you think this might go? That Raquel and Perez go babyface opposite of Liv?
I was thinking maybe that Roxanne stabs Raquel in the back and stays with Liv, and it's only Raquel going babyface. Yeah.
Yep. And that's kind of why it's like, is that, because I can see that scenario too, but to me, it seems Perez and Liv are destined, if they team, to have tension, but they're definitely going harder with Raquel being on her own right now. And beating up Nikki is one of those situations where I think they're trying to get fans to see Raquel in a positive way. Oh, she's beating up Nikki, and that's kind of part of why she was there also, is let's have people go. Because when it's a clear call, like I don't think with Chelsea Green and Jade Cargill, it's a clear call who fans are going to be like, oh, Jade's beating up that obnoxious Chelsea Green. I think some casual mainstream fans, not just casual, but mainstream, were like, yeah, beat up Chelsea. She can't stop talking. She's so just want to see someone shut her up. That would be a babyface move if Jade was still babyface. But I think they think, oh, but Chelsea, the internet likes Chelsea because she's so talented and witty. So that'll be a way to hint at make Jade a heel and hint at and help Chelsea set up a babyface turn. I don't see Raquel and Nikki as a pick 'em. I think people would side with Raquel and go, yeah, we don't see Nikki get beat up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
Did you like Logan Paul and LA Knight? Did that come across as a good match?
Yeah, it was pretty decent. I think Logan's good. I noticed that what seemed like there was a bunch of sort of miscommunications. At one point, LA Knight ducked and he caught a clothesline in the face, I think, from Logan. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good match. Unfortunately, I think many viewers were thinking we were unlikely to get a clean finish, and if so, they were rewarded for that kind of pessimism.
Yep. I like Finn Balor going, I had an easy night. My opponent got taken out. I didn't have to wrestle. That's very current day Finn Balor, just like, because of the tag titles. We don't defend the titles. JD and Finn, like, we want to be tag champs. We never want to defend them. And now Finn's like, I get paid, but now I don't. My opponent got beat up. He doesn't have to wrestle. What'd you think of Gunther's interview? I mean, it wasn't very long. What's your take, Paul, on the opening segment?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I think it was interesting. He came out all in black. I did want to comment that his new music is much less cheesy without the chorus singing, Gunther, the ring general. I'm not sure when they made that change, but I think it was recently, and it suits him better, more serious. And I really liked how they how Gunther's angle in the match isn't just I'm going to beat you, but I'm going to make you give up. Is never give up, going to give up. It's a great hook for his last match.
Yep. Anything else from Raw stand out to you, Paul?
No. It was a fun show, but not a particularly newsworthy one.
Yeah, we had a super chat from Derek that I know he's still with us, so I didn't rush to it. But he said, as a fellow AWA fan, R.I.P. Mr. Electricity Steve Regal. He reportedly died this summer at the age of 73. One of the biggest upsets in the AWA history is Regal and Jimmy Garvin beating the Road Warriors. That was a huge upset, and it wasn't super credible. Regal and Jimmy Garvin being the champs after the Road Warriors, but they got a push for a long time. Regal was just kind of not a really heavily pushed guy, and then he was with Garvin, and they were willing to work they weren't a threat to leave, and you could have them eventually lose. But yeah, they held the titles for a curiously long time. As a fan at that point, watching that, I was like, they're not the best tag team in the world, and I want the Road Warriors seem like it. So why are we supposed to pay for these guys? But they were solid heels on the microphone.
And was that the same rugged Ronnie Garvin who came to the WWF?
Jimmy Garvin, former Freebird with Michael Hayes, the non-Freebirds. He was Jimmy Garvin's peak was with Precious and Sunshine and World Class Championship Wrestling. Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin with the long dark locks, and feud with Chris Adams, and then Sunshine went with Chris and Precious. Or Jimmy Garvin had Precious, Chris Adams had Sunshine. It was a great wrestler valet feud. And Garvin was peak Jimmy Garvin. He was really he was not a dynamic in-ring wrestler. But he was a really good personality. For sure.
He always seemed like a distant second to Michael P.S. Hayes in the later WCW years as the Freebirds.
Jimmy Garvin shouldn't have been a Freebird. I mean, there's nothing. The Freebirds were Jimmy's gorgeous Jimmy Garvin did not fit with the Michael Hayes, Terry Gordy, Buddy Roberts era Freebirds. He was just so different. And when I think of the Freebirds, I don't even really, it's not my job. It's not my prerogative to say those were not the Freebirds, but in my mind, Jimmy Garvin and Michael Hayes were not the Freebirds. Any more than Rick Bogner and Rick Bogner was not Razor Ramon. It doesn't. I know that's not a perfect example, but we don't have to think of him as such. All right, cool. Well, if we missed anything you wanted us to talk about, well, actually, Gary Francis brought up Maxine and Natty video has been really cool. I hope Maxine can live up to them when the bell rings. Her standing up and going, let's go again. That was good.
Yeah,
so, I'm curious about where that goes.
If they can pull that off, that'll be really impressive, because she has really seemed like someone not to be taken seriously for such a long time that if they can make her seem like a legit badass, which she looked like in this video, that'll be quite a sleight of hand and well done storytelling to get us to that point.
The bell's still going to ring, and she's still going to have to work a match. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, you can tell the story. You can manipulate how you tell the story in the ring, but it's still Maxine Dupree with all her, greenness and lack of looking tough. So I'm curious about it. We'll see. I mean, and they might have a couple different directions they're willing to go with it. All right, cool. We'll wrap up there. But like I said, if we missed anything you want to push back on anything I said or whatever, add something, wadekellerpodcast@gmail.com. You are genuinely invited to provide feedback. And in the comments area too, if you're watching us on the YouTube side of things, you can comment on anything that we talked about on today's show too, and have a conversation with other listeners there. Paul, thanks. Been a pleasure having you on.
Likewise. Thanks, Wade.
Thanks, Paul. I'll throw up the plug here, just our graphic, PWTorch.com/GoVIP. PWTorch.com/GoVIP. Coupon code when you sign up in the coupon code box is NOV2025. Take $9 off a 1-month sub or a 3-month or 12-month sub with that coupon code NOV as in November, NOV2025. Thanks, everybody, and thanks to the chat. As always great to have you part of the show and contributing as always. And we will talk to you all later as everybody encourages you to drop a like and go VIP and comment below. So I second all of that. Oh, and tune in for Nate Lindberg and Kelly Wells tomorrow on the NXT post show right here on the PWTorch YouTube channel after NXT airs.